Listen, Minister, I'm a lifelong opponent of anti-Semitism. Many years ago, I think over a decade, I brought an Auschwitz survivor to this city, organised meetings, got her on the Late Late Show to remind people about the horrors of the Holocaust, and I do it again. And we should always remind people about how horrendous the Holocaust is. The point we were making is that Israel consistently equates criticism of the apartheid policies that it practices against the Palestinians with anti-Semitism. Israel does this, okay? And they promote a definition of anti-Semitism that includes labelling those who criticize the apartheid structure of the state, that anybody who does that is an anti-Semite. And indeed, they threaten 10-year prison sentences against people who support the boycott, divestment and sanctions campaign. That, by the way, would include Desmond Tutu or Nelson Mandela, if he was still alive, who called for the boycott, sanctions and divestment campaign. Okay? Under that definition, they would be anti-Semites. Now, that has to be rejected and roundly rejected. And we need to be clear that condemning, as we must, anti-Semitism never slides into giving some sort of absolution to the Israeli state, which is an apartheid state. On the issue of the hunger strikers, which I also raised pre-council, and the point is, in relation to you, it's not on the agenda, we asked the Taoiseach to raise the issue of the hunger strikers. Miqdad al-Qasimi, if you look at the photographs, it is horrendous. This man is on the brink of death for hunger strikes over the horrendous system of administrative detention, and then we have, and many other hunger strikers too, and then we have the designation as terrorist of 6 organisations who have a long history of standing up for human rights, protecting the rights of children in administrative detention, women's committees, agricultural committees, and so on, designated as terrorists. And I'll just say this. When are we going to move beyond words to action? And please don't say we've got opponents on the UN Security Council. We know that. But given that, what are we going to do? Are we just going to be paralysed by that? Is there ever going to be sanctions against Israel for its routine, systematic and brutal denial of civil and human rights?
I'll probably answer the questions insofar as I can. I don't deal with the Israel-Palestine situation on a day-to-day basis as European Affairs Minister, but the Minister for Foreign Affairs is today in that part of the world, I think, doing great work on behalf of this country that follows a long tradition of governments in this country, going back to Brian Lennon Senior, of being involved. Look, I mean, we meet.
Okay, deputies, deputies, please. I think more people. You will have a second chance to come back in if we allow for that.
I think that, look, I mean, undoubtedly Minister Coveney will be here accountable and answering questions on his visit or topical issues on his visit next week, and we'll be more than happy to do that, to go through in detail the issues. I think probably for me to answer questions today while he's there on these issues further than I have already, I think would probably not be a good plan. So I suggest that he will do that next week, but I think the fact that he's there today, the fact that this is raised regularly at the Security Council, and the fact that this is discussed at other forums as well by us, and the fact that we are trusted, I think, by both sides in that particular conflict to try to work together to bring peace to that part of the world has been a very important objective for Ireland, and I have no doubt that Minister Coveney will be only too happy to update the House on that in the coming weeks upon his return from Israel.
Thank you, Minister.